I'm here talking with Nate Beeler, the brilliant cartoonist for the Examiner newspapers, for the Washington Examiner. You live in D.C., and it's disturbing how young you are to have such a mature drawing style. You are
Not
just
that young.
You are really brilliant, Nate, and I think you're one of the big new talents to come onto the editorial cartoons.
Well, you're brilliant with superlatives.
Ah. Well, we syndicate your work, and you are popular as all hell. And talk about your work. Tell us what you do.
Well, I draw 5 cartoons a week for the Washington Examiner, and they also appear in the San Francisco Examiner. And I used to do page design and copy editing for the newspaper before, and gradually have been working my way to more cartoons. And I was doing caricatures for the Examiner newspapers for their Sunday editions, and now I'm a full-time editorial cartoonist, and they're one of the papers that sees the great value in having an editorial cartoonist, so I am extremely pleased for that. And I think that they like me because my shtick is that I'm willing to take on all comers, regardless of whether Democrat or Republican, and I think they appreciate that a little bit, which is refreshing.
Your drawings are brilliant. Who are your big influences?
Well, I mean, I started off as a big comic book fan when I was in middle school and high school, and so I was greatly influenced by them, and originally wanted to be a comic book artist. And my dad subscribed to Newsweek, and he would always show me the editorial cartoons in there. And back when Newsweek was publishing more editorial cartoons, and so I got a lot of exposure to cartoons that way. And in my hometown newspaper, the Columbus Dispatch, and they would run Pat Oliphant and Tom Tolles, as well as their cartoonist Jim Larick at the time. And
I see some Jim Borgman in your work.
And I discovered Jim Borgman, so I'm a huge Jim Borgman fan, as well as Pat Oliphant McNally. And through Cagle.com, I was able to see all these all the range of styles of cartooning with all the cartoonists on the site, and that was actually a huge influence on me in college. Being able to access that site and see the Cagle cartoons and see any one of the how many do you have on there, like 80 cartoonists on there, and just gradually learned about the different styles. And so Jim Borgman was a big influence, Pat Oliphant, Jeff McNally, Tom Tolles, Matt Davies, Scott Stannis, and just basically everybody that I read becomes an influence, and everybody does something a little bit different that you can learn from.
Do you have any interesting controversial cartoons or stories that came out of crazy cartoon moments?
Well, not really. I mean, I don't get all that much reader feedback, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, and every once in a while I'll get a crazy email from somebody, and usually they completely take the cartoon out of context, or totally they don't get the punchline.
I see you as kind of in the middle politically, but maybe a little bit to the right. And it's when the liberal cartoonist draws and makes the conservative readers angry, it's when you get most of the email. And I don't think you quite fall into that.
Well, yeah. For me, I've always tried to view myself as, for lack of a better term, like an equal opportunity satirist. And over the years, as I've learned more about politics and the way the world works, it sort of reinforced my I guess my lack of compassion towards authority figures. So whether it was my high school principal or the college president, to the President of the United States of America. So at this point, I see, being in Washington, I see how government can screw things up left and right, we're in journalism, and so our job, our mission is to be a check on power. And so I view my mission as being whoever's in power. I'm going to go after you if you do something that I think is not good for the unempowered.
So what's next for you, and what do you think is next for editorial cartooning?
Well, hopefully only good things. I don't know what's next for editorial cartooning, but I know that as long as people want to be informed, and I think that they have a desire to be informed, whether it's conscious or unconscious, there's going to be a need for editorial cartoonists. And you see people like Glenn Beck on the right or Keith Olbermann on the left, and
we work for MSNBC. We like Keith Olbermann.
Yes. Or gosh, I don't know, CNN. Larry King, that's a bad example. But people do want to get opinions. I think that they don't necessarily want them as partisan as some of the people that are on TV. But the thing that editorial cartoons can do that's so much better than those guys is that they can sum it up visually in a reader's mind in less than 10 seconds and get their point across. And they can do it so much more eloquently and artfully than a screaming rant on TV. So I think the future for editorial cartoons is probably online as newspapers transition to a new medium.
Well, I know your work is very popular on the site and in the MSNBC.com slideshows, and I think you're one of the most popular cartoonists that we have. I think you're great.
Great.
Any last comments?
Nothing. Just thanks for reading the cartoons. It's good to be able to have people be interested in what you have to say.
Well, and your work is just so beautifully drawn, and you're so disturbingly young that it's good to know that you're really not so young.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm 60.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much, Nate.
Thanks.